Hello, my lovely Marshall blenders. How are you? How are you? What is going on? Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. I hope everyone is doing well, and I wanted to share something with you. So, I went a few days ago to the Rite Aid to buy some hairspray. You guys know I love the L'Oreal, but this one I hadn't seen. It's called Lock It, and it's weather control hairspray. Supposedly holds up to 48 hours, anti-frizz, extra strong hold. It's at a number 4, where if it were a little bit stronger, it'd be the strongest. So the strongest being 5. So I did Bermanthus hair, and check this out. It goes back in place. Back in place. Back in place. So I gotta say, this is a good hairspray for a professional or for a drugstore. So if you guys want to use a hairspray, it'll give you a really good hold. Now I tested the 48-hour hold because I had done an updo. Had done a curl look. You saw the curl look that I did. The curl look lasted, and then I washed that out, blew it out. Today I had to do an updo, and the updo looked great. But then I decided, let me work with the curls that I created, and I did that. And let me tell you, it's holding good. I like it. I am thoroughly excited about this hairspray. So someone had presented the question, and it's a question that people have asked when I talk about my sister's passing, July of 2019, from COVID. And people are like, but how do you know if the first case was January? If, for example, people ask, can you get reinfected by... logic dictates that, yeah, you can get reinfected by something. Flu. You caught the flu last year, you can catch the flu again this year. COVID, essentially, it didn't start in January. It was announced here, January, but it had already existed a long time ago. And my sister used to work for a company that takes care of homeless people and people who come here from other countries. So in her line of work, she was exposed to it. She loved her job because she loved people. And she was a nurturer. She was the kind of person that wanted to make sure that everybody was okay. So much so that she did it it was to her detriment. And that is not necessarily something bad, because as I say, she did it her way. She really did. She lived according to her standards, which were very high, and she died according to her expectations, She was very specific about things that she expected to be done. And she wanted to make sure that everyone was good. So her job, I don't think she would have changed it. I think the only thing she would have changed, of course, because she had a 4-year-old son, is she would have done more, as far as masks and protecting herself and things like that. But at that point, no one knew what COVID was. Now, remember, when COVID came out, and they finally developed a test. I don't know if you remember when they finally developed the test. In order to be able to take that test, what did they have to do? Do you recall? Do you remember? In order for them to administer that test, they had to have done all the other tests and ruled those things out. And then they would administer the test for COVID. In July, and before, there wasn't a COVID test. So my sister, when she finally did decide to go to the hospital, because I made her go to the emergency room after we had pled with her, because she had been started with the cough November of 2018, and it got really bad around the month of that we noticed, the month of February and March. She wasn't telling us much, and she was, of course, being herself, acting like letting us think that she was okay. Until finally she got scared, because the month of March, she says that she felt a moment where she felt like she was going to die. So she went to the doctors. They told her it was a pneumonia. They gave her the medication. She got a little better, but her cough lingered. And then April came, May came, and she eventually had to stop working. I didn't know she wasn't working. In my head, I'm thinking she's, going about her business. And she wasn't able to come here. I'm the one that was taking care of my mother. She was the one that helped us, the best way that she could. And so comes June, and she tells me that she was at a Target, and she thought she was gonna die. She was with her son, and so she had to go sit down. And she says that no one offered any help. No one offered any help until she dialed 911 to let them know, hey, I almost fainted. I feel like I'm about to die. I'm in Target. And 911, the dispatcher, was of no use. Because this idiot of a dispatcher says that they don't know. I'm like, Google. The person is telling you they're in Target in a specific area. There's no other Target in that area. You Google and you dispatch EMT, but whatever, that's beside the point. So that she calls me and lets me know that happened, and I'm begging her, look, the baby's grandmother actually lived across the street. I was like, please take the baby, go. Let me rewind that. So I tell her, she was thinking, okay, I'm gonna wait till tomorrow because I'll be able to take the baby tomorrow. That's her ex-husband's day. And so I says, okay, no problem. And then she said she was gonna take the train, and I was like, how are you gonna take the train if you already fainted? Like, so even though she didn't need it, I sent her money for Uber ride, and doing that lets her know that I'm serious. It's like, I can't go over there physically and drag you out your house and take you there. I'm taking care of mom, but I need you to go to the emergency room. So she goes to the emergency room, and almost immediately they, put her in a mask, quarantine her, and then she's sent to the not an ICU. She's sent to her own room, and the rules were, and mind you, this is June. The rules were that no one could go inside that room unless they had the full mask. And her fever, she had a fever that just didn't leave her. So the doctors literally ran all these tests to the point where essentially she became anemic from so much blood that they were drawing from her. Eventually, they started using the smaller vials, but they were using big vials. My sister was like 5'4" and like weighed 110 pounds. Like, why are you taking so much large vials of blood? I hope the doctors think about that. Like, don't use big vials, use small vials if you're testing, if you're going to be taking so much blood. So essentially her blood was weak also, which contributed to her demise. But they ran all the tests, and for a week, I want to say about 10 days, she was in there, and she was there for 10 days, but like about 7 days, 7 days, she was there, and the rules were you had to wear the mask. And so, we had to wear the mask, she had to wear the mask. And finally, after they ran that many days of tests, they said, hey, okay, so everything we've done has come out negative, or essentially lets us know that she doesn't have this. So we don't know what it is, but she doesn't have anything contagious, was the understanding at that point. So she just she continued to get worse. Eventually, I wasn't able to always go because she was, in Brooklyn. We live in the Bronx, and I remember she calls me one day that I wasn't able to go, and I get on the phone with her doctor, and I essentially spoke with him in my way, letting him understand that I appreciate all the work that he's doing, but they wanted to pressure her to accept blood. We don't take blood. We don't do that. We don't accept blood. We don't accept the main components of blood. In my case, I don't mind fractions, but blood or the main components of blood, no thank you. There are so many other things that work better than blood that are not as much of a danger to the human body. So I spoke with him, and that day he transferred her over to the main site. So at first my sister felt bad because she thought that he had gotten offended. The reality was that they should have made that transfer earlier on. They should have made that transfer earlier on because it was beyond their capacity. And so when she gets to the ICU at the main site, the care is better, but her fever just wouldn't stop. It would break once they would give her the Tylenol, but that was like 4 hours, and then she could feel it. She said she could feel it when it was coming back on. And she just said it. She felt that she was going to die. When the doctors would ask her, how are you doing? Like probably the first 3 times they asked her, how you doing? After that, they stopped because each time they say, how you doing? She'd look at them and be like I'm dying, like, how are you supposed to feel, And she would tell me, this is scary. This is scary. I can feel dying. It's scary. And so, what could you say at that point, So fine, after everything happened, the doctors, because her lymph nodes swole, they just guessed that it was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. But I understand that they knew that it wasn't that. But of course, to help the family, they would have to say something that's close. But they didn't know what it was because no one would have known what it was the month of July of the year 2019. But remember, this is called COVID-19. It's not called COVID-20. It's COVID 2019, which essentially may be where it became a large issue. So I would gather to say that even possibly as early as 2018 it could have begun, and 2019 was where it became something. But my sister, yes, she did pass away from COVID-19 2019. Okay? No, I don't need a doctor to tell me that. I don't need a scientist to tell me that. It's what it is. It is what it is. And people are free to have their own opinion. People are free to have their ideas. Just, if you're going to comment it, do it with respect. Because this is my sister, and this is my understanding. So that's what I'm going to say as far as that. Okay? And, so that is why I know that's what it was. I'm not going to go into more specifics, but it is what it is. It was COVID. Yeah, so essentially it's a scary thing. It's a sad thing. It's a horrible hole that remains in my heart. You know what I mean? And that's the reality. Remember, I always say you have to be able to accept your reality. Not even accept, but just recognize your reality and work on accepting your reality. And once you're able to do those things, then you're able to live. And so my sister helped me to be able to accept the reality as it was happening. She was able to speak her feelings to me, and I was able to respect and accept them. And so I think that may have been what helped me a lot too, was that she was so she was very forthright, you know. She was like, I'm dying, you know, and so she gave me specific instructions, and I followed them, you know. I followed them. So that also teaches me that if, God forbid, that would be my case, then hopefully I would be able to kind of follow that example, you know, be realistic and accept what's occurring, so that I can have a clear mind within the time that I have a clear mind to be able to express my wishes, you know, as specific as possible. Yeah, so I am sharing this with y'all, and I hope you can appreciate it. I hope that maybe someone can be helped by it. And so that was it. This is one of the few times that my energy is going to be not somber, but not as Marshall Blenders as usual. Okay? But you know what time it is, right? Goodbye, my lovely Marshall Blenders. I'll see you soon. See ya.